for the future of this country are in this room now. The reason why that is that the future leaders will be, the future decision makers of this country will be, show leadership, they'll be resourceful, they'll take initiative, and they'll be skilled in the business language. And the business language is English. And that's why the people that are in this room now will have such an impact in the future. And it won't be magical. And my speech today is to persuade the decision makers, the future decision makers in the room, to take seriously, take on board an issue that's being ignored at the moment by the governing bodies, I believe, and that's of significant future, a significant future event for both Vietnam and for Ho Chi Minh City. I'm going to start off, I hope, with this slide. A show of hands. How many people know what these games are? That's an encouraging start. The Southeast Asia Games were founded in 1959. They take place every 2 years, and they are Southeast Asia's version of the Olympic Games. And you can see there the participating countries that take part every 2 years. The next one's in Singapore. Vietnam has only hosted these games once in 2003. Does anybody know when they're going to host them again? No. Really? Be hosted in Ho Chi Minh City in 2021. And really, I mean, this is sort of thing that I would have hoped that everybody in the room would have realized, because this is going to be one of the most prestigious events that will happen in Vietnam in the next decade. And it will be of value to business and community leaders at that time to be involved and connected with that project. But, and this is where we come to the first mistake, Vietnam's been here before, in fact, just recently. Hanoi was invited to host the 2018 Asian Games, but what happened? They were supposed to host 45 countries. They tried to do it on the cheap, 150 million for an event of that scale, and they were going to host the athletes in just dormitories and hotels and things like that. They couldn't get themselves organized, and on April the 17th this year, the Prime Minister, the Vietnamese Prime Minister, had to withdraw Hanoi from hosting those games. And even worse, it's going to be Indonesia. Of all countries, it's going to be hosting, your great rival is going to be hosting them in 2018. With the 2021 Games, the Vietnam and its leaders have got the opportunity to recover their prestige, to really show the neighbours what their neighbouring countries what they're capable of. So, how long do you think? When do you think they should start preparing for these games? 2 years ago. Right answer. Let's work it through. Let's look at some of the key factors that are going to impact on the timing of getting things ready for these games. What's the key objective of any games like this? I can tell you it's nothing to do with sport. It's all about prestige. So at the end of the 2021 Games, the People's Committee of Ho Chi Minh City and the Vietnamese government need to look really good, both in the eyes of the Vietnamese people and in the eyes of all the participating countries. That's the key objective. And what's the key piece of infrastructure that will help sort of really impress everyone? The stadium. And not just any old stadium. You're not going to reuse the ones that you've got in Ho Chi Minh already. You need a new, majestic, shiny, something that will be the envy of all the other countries that are taking part in these games. But there are going to be other infrastructure projects as well that are going to be necessary to get underway, because you're going to have these level of spectators and athletes. And I've put together a very short list of some of the things you need to consider. New stadium. Brazil took 4 years to build each of the 12 stadiums, so you can assume 4 years to build a stadium. The Games Village, 7,000 athletes. Probably take you 2 years just to acquire the ground that you need to build the village, and then a couple of years to build it. Ho Chi Minh doesn't have enough hotels, 5-star hotels. They've only got about 9 at the moment. You need to build about 13 500-bed, 5-star hotels, and again, it's going to take you 4 years, assuming that you can find the land to build them on. Tan Son Nhat, excuse the pronunciation, airport is going to be at full capacity in 2020. To build an extension to the airport, even if you can find the land to build it on, will take about 5 years. Or the other option is Long Tan Airport, which will take 10 years to build. To get 20, 30,000 spectators to the new venue, you're going to need to use public transport. The most efficient public transport is a subway, and we know how long it's taken for the current one to be built. So you need to be allowing 5 to 10 years for that. And then we have all these other factors as well that's going to impact on each of these projects. So I urge you fellow Toastmasters, future decision makers, to take this on board. Do something about this. Don't let your government embarrass you again by its incompetence in not being able to plan international prestigious events. And I'll leave you with this final thought. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Anyone read the code? So it's separated. So thank you, Mr. Egan. Okay, so all speakers has passed. So the last but not least one is Mr. Anh Linh. Mr. Anh Linh is one of the core members of Saigon Toastmaster Club since the first time, and he's been through a lot